Lads, you know it's a bad hair day when the snapback is back on. I haven't worn this thing in years, but that's just the extent of how bad my hair is at the moment. I'm sorry, I look like Jimmy Neutron out here. It's actually adding another like 9 inches onto my head, so let me pull it. I look like an alien. That hairline's bad, man. It's over for me. Like, I'm hanging on to nothing. Look at this. No, I'm not. I don't even want to see it. Jesus Christ. Guys, this album needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce it anyway. It's In Rainbows by Radiohead. I got requested by Matthew to check this out, so shout out to Matthew, because this album was an absolute beautiful listen from start to finish. If you guys know the album, you know what I'm talking about. I listened to the full thing. It's all available on Patreon. This is just me checking out Weird Fishes /Arpeggi, which is just a stupid name, but the song is absolutely fantastic, as you'll hear if you haven't heard it already. So guys, if you want to get the full album reaction, patreon.com/DrewFortune. I can't stress it enough. Patreon is the best way you could possibly ever support me. But yeah, I'm signing out. Enjoy this one. Cheers. Again, such a nostalgic feeling. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like a fucking... They all just feel like movie soundtracks. They probably are in a lot of movies, to be fair, based on how popular they are. Yeah, like Creep has 1.3 billion plays on Spotify. That's fucking mental. Yeah, it just feels like very timeless music. I don't ever see this kind of music going out of style, you know? There's always going to be trends and, you know, metalcore, all these genres that I've just previously mentioned. But something like this is just timeless, man, you know? Don't really see this ever going out. It clearly hasn't. 2007 still sounds perfect, still sounds amazing. You wouldn't touch anything on this, you know? The chills. This is already played. Like, is it gonna be the whole album? Why should I stay here? Why should I stay? Kind of gives me U2 vibes there. That sounded a little bit like Bono. Oh, this is so good. Jesus Christ. This album makes me feel sane again, because I've had so many albums over the last while that I've not fucked with, and I'm like, am I just going insane, or but this just brings me right back down to earth. I'm not going insane. I'm gonna pause for a second just because I want to speak, and I know it's probably annoying me speaking over shit. I'm sorry. But I just want to say, like, genuinely over the last while, I mentioned it in the last Patreon album reaction that I did. I was like, I'm probably going to at some point maybe stop doing the album requests, because I just feel like I'm kind of getting maybe burnt out with the same requests and kind of repeating myself with a lot of the metalcore albums that I've been listening to, and just saying, yeah, look, I mean, it's good music, it's yada yada yada, but nothing is really evoking any emotion in me. It's not getting me that excited. I've heard a lot of these riffs over and over again. Yes, there's some dynamic elements of certain tracks in certain metalcore albums that maybe make them stand out above the rest, but at the same time, it's still just kind of falling into the category of stuff that I've heard before. But this, although it is years old and I'm mentioning it is really nostalgic, it's just making me feel something again. This sounds really like in depth. It's not that deep, but you know what I mean? In terms of like the musical side of things, I was starting to think like, have I just completely burnt myself out here where I'm actually just not going to enjoy like albums again in the near future? I was actually genuinely concerned that I was like, maybe I've just like kind of reached that level of I'm not going to be impressed by music that much anymore because I've heard so many albums over the last while. But maybe I was getting a little bit burnt out, and maybe I am still a little bit burnt out, but this is definitely making me feel like I want to sit here and listen to this album. You know, it's not like some of the albums I've been doing, I'm kind of like halfway through and I'm just like, I'm happy with this album ending right now. I'm not really inspired to keep listening. I don't really care much for what else this band have to offer. And again, it's just personal preference. A lot of the time I've tried to be as specific as possible about what it is that I don't like about it. I'm not just sitting here and trying to say, I know some people might disagree and say that I'm just talking through my ass, or like, you know, I don't really, you know, I try to explain myself as best as possible as to why it is that I don't like something. Now, obviously some people might disagree and I might get things wrong along the way, but I guess that's all a part of the journey. But this is just making me feel something. That's just like the best way I can actually describe it. There's no real like tangible thing that I can say about it other than I just feel goosebumps with every like meandering section of the vocals and just the way all the instruments are perking everything up as well. It's just so fucking well done. Again, standing the test of time. This is fantastic music, just timeless music. Sounds incredible even how many years later, 16 years later, which I can definitely say is not the case for a lot of the albums I've heard over the last while. So this is just breathing life into me. So shout out to Matthew for this request.
Picked over by the walls, I'm wet fishing, wet fishing, wet fishing.
So unpredictable as well. Like, I mean, nothing about it is cookie cutter either, you know. It's still keeping me on my toes. Like that mood switch, after we went through the whole weird fishes, then we got a break and then just completely switched the mood entirely and switched the pacing of the track as well. Again, it's following that like tempo that we've gotten on other tracks throughout the album with that kind of like upbeat dance tempo, but the mood is definitely a little bit more somber in this one. So again, a really nice switch up and just so dynamic. This is fantastic so far. One of the best albums I've heard in a while, I'm not gonna lie, from what I'm hearing so far. Every track I've liked. How many tracks have we done? This is track number 5. So we've liked 4 tracks, but I've also already heard Reckoner, and that was also a playlist as well. So, you know, they're 5 for 5 right now. Incredible. Oh, just everything about this. All of the production choices, the bass tones are just so delicate.